Good morning. Just thought I'd make a little video here. I made one earlier, and I've just been tripping out. I started watching these videos. This guy, I'll have to make a link to all these really good things. I'll have to link in these people, but he's interviewing people who were ex-vegans. Okay, so it's funny though because it's interesting. I've listened to like two or three of them, and this guy these people all sound like the same. It's like they think they get into it and they say, "Oh, I'm getting health benefits, right?" Because they got off the sugar, they got off the carbohydrates, they're eating, they're eating vegetables, and they're feeling good initially. And so then they say, "Well, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good." So even though I'm looking around me and I'm seeing like not good behavior from people, and I'm not seeing health from these other people, but I'm persisting with it because I'm different, I'm special. I'm going to be able to take it to that next level, right? I mean, it's such perfect like ego. It's so perfectly egocentric. It puts a spotlight on how egocentric human beings are in our very nature. We can see that something led to a complete catastrophe, a certain behavior, a certain mindset, and we will still persist thinking, well, we'll be different. We'll be able to avoid that pitfall, or we will be able to avoid the pitfalls. And I think that's really, really fascinating. And and like I said in my video I made this morning, I did the same thing in a lot of ways. I thought, well, it was a little different for me because I was doing it for spiritual reasons. I was doing it purely for spiritual reasons, to become more, you know, more clear, and to have less impurities in my system. And lucky, like I said, for me, I burned out of it fast because I was like, this isn't working. I'm not feeling well. And I've always been pretty tuned into my body. I mean, if I don't pay attention to my body and take care of things, I will get sick. I'm one of those people that gets sick pretty easy if I'm not, keeping up on things. So, but it's so interesting to see how we are really in that same mindset as a collective, right? We're just going to keep persisting with the same thing, persisting, and and then hope that somehow we don't make the same mistakes that you know have happened in the past. And we're doing the same thing, except I would even argue that our civilization is doing it on steroids. Like our civilization has taken it to the level of just you know high octane right over the cliff. I mean, it's almost like we're lighting the rocket engine and throwing jet fuel in, and just punching it. It's like we're pushing for just annihilation. It's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to admit it's pretty crazy, right? And one of the guys was saying how, and I'm not beating up on vegans at all. I'm using that as an example. I mean, we're all more or less guilty of, you know, it's human nature is what I was struck with when I heard this other guy talk about it. Just the human nature side of it. Like it's almost like it's in our nature to just push, right? And what immediately hit me was when you're not living a God-centered life, it will become almost impossible to not do that. And you always see these people that get involved with something. Maybe it's a church group, or maybe it's some kind of an ideology, or they'll get interested in whatever, right? I mean, something to divert their attention. And they just get so into it. They'll go buy all the, like, say somebody gets into hunting, and they got to go buy all the most expensive stuff. They go down to the store and they buy the bows, and they buy the special arrows, and they buy uh, all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, uh, I went shooting today, and I'm walking through the gun store, and I'm like, God, you could spend a lot of money in this place. I mean, there's so much stuff, and it's interesting. I mean, you get into it, you can justify just going hog wild on it. You could go crazy spending on all that stuff. Like I say, that's just an example, but I think it's kind of in our nature if we don't reel ourselves in a little bit. And you go, well, how do we do that? How do we find balance? And I personally think that balance comes from having that godly energy coming into your life. I mean, what is bringing that godly energy in for you? That's the thing maybe to put the attention on. And that being said, a caveat here is, okay, for example, like I started doing TM meditation when I was 22 years old, 23. And at first it was great, right? I mean, I had good experiences. I met nice people. I felt like it was an outlet for me in terms of spirituality, because I didn't feel comfortable going down the Christianity path and things like that. And the way they presented it was very, it's very, the TM stuff is well packaged. Okay. It's very well packaged. It's kind of like these vegans, I was watching some of these, they were showing these guys, and they had like, their little vegan meals, and they had little vegan French fries and vegan whatever, they add oil. It's all soy products and stuff, which is bad for you, but it's very well packaged. It looks really good, right? And so you get into it and you go meditate, twice a day and do your thing and, live your life. That's basically the instructions. The instructions are meditate twice a day and, go about your business. That really is it, But what happens is, because of human nature and the way, again, what I was seeing in these other people, which I see in my own self, is that they're like, your ego wants to extend itself. So it wants to push out. And so for me, it wasn't enough to just meditate twice a day. And see, another thing with TM, and I made another video about this, they kind of have this carrot on the stick thing, which is shame on them for that. But they have a carrot on the stick. So you learn the mantra meditation, but if you really want to go to the next level, you'll learn this TM City program. And that's what I did. And I've talked about that before. I'm not going to go into all that, but then you learn the TM City program. Then they have special techniques that you can learn. So not only do you have a mantra, but you have a sound that associates with the mantra. And then you have the TM City program. And then before you know it, you're meditating 40, 50 minutes a day, twice a day. Okay? It's alluring, right? It pulls you in. It's like you think, okay, if I can just get this level. And like I say, I see this with the veganism. That's why it's so, what these people are talking about. Because this guy was saying, he's saying, I wasn't really into it for the science of it. I mean, I didn't really understand what I was doing. But I thought, even though these other people aren't successful with it, even though I see like the behavior of my friends, these people I know, he said the vegan people would go to these farmer markets and steal food. So here they had all this high principled living, right? Because they're not eating meat and they're not harming animals, and supposedly they're making the planet healthier by not eating meat, but yet they would go and steal from people. And it reminded me of an experience I had at MIU, at this Maharishi school where I went to do the city program. And I was there, I don't know, I wasn't there very long. And there was a group of us who had come to work on staff for the cities. So there was maybe about maybe 8 people, small group. And we were all on staff to, earn the cities, because the cities were like $10,000. I mean, the cities were no joke. It was expensive. And it was supposed to be like really an amazing thing, right? Which it was, by the way. I don't want to say that the cities weren't. The city's experience was very, very awesome. Okay. So I'm not taking away from that at all, but it was expensive. So I couldn't do that because I had no money. So I worked on staff, and we had this little assignment. So we worked our during the day, they worked us 6 days a week. And then in the evening, you would go and you would have some special project they would have you do. Okay. Not every evening. And after a while, it kind of dropped out to where you basically didn't have to participate and stuff. You could just say, I've had enough. I worked my day and I'm done. But at the beginning, you're trying to make a good impression and all that stuff. So we go in this room, and they give us these letters, and they're like form letter, right? That says, it was for fundraising for the school. And so, we're supposed to write out this letter, handwritten, and then we're supposed to sign, not our name. We were supposed to sign the name of one of the students at the school. And I was like, what? I mean, that was the first sign that something wasn't right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to let it go, because I've already committed to this. I'm not going to leave because they wanted me to write this letter, which I didn't do, by the way. I don't think any of us did. We were like, that's crazy. I mean, you're asking us to do something unethical. And we didn't say that, but I think basically just because we were like, wow, that's really weird, or maybe we did 1 or 2. I don't remember, but they didn't push it very hard. They were like, I think the guy who was the leader on the whole thing, the work program leader guy, I think he realized that that was wrong. I mean, we were adults. We're not, I was young, but I wasn't, I wasn't that naive. And so anyway, it's just an example. And I think the same thing, we get these signals in our life, and whether it's with our diet or whether it's with relationships or whatever. And if we're not listening to those signals, we can get into a lot of mess. It can cause us a lot of suffering. That being said, once I'm just going to tell you my experience with Sahaj Marg and the heartfulness, because it has helped me with all of this. And not perfect, still making a lot of mistakes, but it has helped me to accept where I'm at right now. And it's, like I said, I'm still making mistakes. That's why I feel so much compassion. I listen to these people and I go, oh my God, that could have been me. That was me. Not just that could have been, that was me. Thank God I didn't hurt anyone else, with my diet or whatever I was trying to chase. If I would have had kids and moving them around or trying to do something, and you know what I mean? I'm thankful that I didn't cause any harm, to anybody. And I learned from these lessons. I mean, it's all part of the process, but it's just a food for thought. I thought it was interesting how these people get caught in these things, and I'll add the link to this guy. It's fascinating. I mean, people just totally tripping out on their food, man. Not a place I want to be, honestly. I mean, the only reason I'm lazy. I mean, I don't want to. I like to eat whatever I want. I'd like to eat a Hershey's bar, but I made myself sick by trying to satisfy my ego. I was working out. I started a weightlifting thing. I will continue. The working out wasn't the problem. It was the eating I was doing with the working out. I started eating, I started taking protein shakes, and I'm still going to take those once my gut heals up. Not like I did before. You see what I'm saying? Learn your lesson. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you've got to take it slow. You got to, especially as you get older, your system's not as strong. And so anyway, that's about all I had to say about that. Hope you all have a good day.